The throw across the diamond brought Sarai New and Abby Cheek together. That would allow the run to score, giving Kentucky the win, 9-8.
Came from 6 runs down in that game. Abby Cheek now just 2 home runs away from setting a new Kentucky career record for homers. So the University of Kentucky with 17 runs in the first 2 games, and for the 3rd straight game, Jenny, Van Studemid has 3 different starting lineups.
I really like the changes she made yesterday, and Mississippi State responded, coming out scoring early, 5 runs before Kentucky could respond, but changing it again, looking to see that right fit for SEC play.
Candace Dennis going to get things started off. She's wearing green lipstick to go along with the green and on this St. Patrick's Day. And in the circle, they are going to be facing Autumn Humes.
Humes, a tough hurler for Kentucky, the first transfer ever to come in under Lawson. She's thrown well this season, not giving up an earned run as of yet. Both complete game shutouts in the SEC. And you're going to see her come in throwing in the low 60s. So not a power pitcher, but using spin to make sure that she gets these batters. She throws a rise, a curve, and a changeup, and a really tough drop ball. She's found that extra velocity on that drop ball can help her out. She trusts that changeup. She will throw it in any count, so look for her to disrupt the timing of these hitters by changing up her speeds.
And Humes has seen a lot of actions against ranked teams. She was the Game 1 winner on Friday night. Kentucky trying to go for the 3-game sweep. And first pitch swinging. Candace Dennis sends it foul. This is the first SEC series for Mississippi State of the season.
Dennis still looking for a hit in this series. Typically not a leadoff, but has found herself to the top of the lineup in games 2 and 3.
Defense pinching in, anticipating the bunt, and a throw by Cheek goes into right field, backed up nicely by Sarah Rainwater to hold her to what has been called a bunt single.
And just places it perfectly right there in the middle of the diamond. That's no man's land. A hard charging Cheek picks up the ball barehanded, trying to get the throw, but it'll get under the glove of Martins coming across to cover the bag. But it's because of the backup of Rainwater that no more damage happens for Kentucky.
And that sets up Mia Davidson, who was hitting in the 3 spot yesterday, now back at her more familiar 2 hole with Fa'alelua on deck. Davidson tied for most home runs in the country right now. She's got 14 of them. It was her sister Montana who went deep, and you can look at her numbers. Her 12-game hitting streak was snapped yesterday. She went 0 for 1, got on base twice by being hit by pitches and walked. She's all over that, and it just goes foul.
The thing that's so impressive about Mia Davidson is just the power that she swings the bat with, and also the control in which she does it. She steps into the box and has a plan, does not deviate from that plan very often. You do not see her swing outside of the zone. Yesterday we did see her chase a rise ball, which is very uncharacteristic, so expect her to settle in and start things off well by staying consistent in the zone.
Davidson sends Katie Reed back. Nice play by the shortstop to retire the always dangerous Mia Davidson.
It's a changeup that comes out of the hand of Humes that just gets Davidson a little bit out front, but a great drop step by Katie Reed allows her to track that ball and get back in time. As an infielder, you make sure that you listen for your outfielders because they have priority, but she tracks it well and pulls it in for the out.
Made it look simple. Very good left side of the infield, particularly for Kentucky, which has always been a solid defensive team under head coach Rachel Lawson. And here is Fa'alelua, the DP this afternoon, also with some great power numbers. You see the 13 home runs, puts her 1 behind Mia Davidson. Some of the best home run hitters in the country are in the SEC this season. Leilua sends it into right field. Rainwater had it all the way. So a couple of balls in the air, 2 outs.
A lot of changes out there in right field for Kentucky in this series. They've had some miscues out there. So we've seen 3 different right fielders. Sarah Rainwater is a veteran in the outfield, had to sit out last year a little bit because of a torn ACL mid-season, but she's back in the lineup today trying to earn herself that starting role and keep it solidified.
She did start there on Friday, but sat out yesterday as a couple of other Wildcats shared right field. Kat Moore batting in the cleanup slot this afternoon.
Moore has found herself at the top of the lineup typically at Mississippi State, but a new role coming to her this year with the addition of Lua to the lineup has given Van Studeman an opportunity to put her in a more power position down here in the 4 slot.
Candace Dennis still over at first, led off with a bunt single. As Mississippi State tries to break through, they were shut out, and what looked like just a very untypical Mississippi State team. Didn't seem to have a lot of life in them on Friday. They certainly came alive yesterday, but that heartbreaking loss, 9-8. And another off-speed pitch. Moore watched it float by. Strikeout for Humes. Dennis stranded at first.
Humes is already wheeling and dealing in the circle. It's the changeup that's making the difference. Mississippi's gonna have to figure out how to respond.
Welcome back to Lexington, and Van Studeman has decided to go with freshman Kayla Bozeman to start things off. Somewhat of a surprise.
I did not expect to see Bozeman as a starter in this series, but we've seen crazy changeups for Van Studeman. Bozeman will step into the circle, throwing in the low 60s. She's got a curve and a changeup, but she really relies on her fastball that she throws to certain spots. If she can find her spin and hit her corners, that will be the difference maker for her in the circle and give her a little bit more longevity.
You can see that she does not have a lot of innings so far. This is only her 3rd start of the season.
Leading off for Kentucky, number 6.
And definitely facing the most potent lineup of her young career, starting with Jenny Schaper, the catcher for Kentucky.
Schaper in this leadoff slot, not a typical leadoff, has more power than speed, but really sets a great calm tone for Kentucky at the top of the lineup.
And also in the Kentucky lineup, Kelsey Henson has been inserted as the starter at DP. She came up big yesterday, had a pinch hit home run and then another hit, and so earning her slot in the lineup for Kentucky. We will see her hit in the 7th spot. And you see Bozeman just floating in a pitch. Started against UT Martin on March 5th. And also has pitched against Mississippi Valley State. With all due respect to them, that's not SEC softball competition, so really her first big test coming this afternoon.
And what Van Studeman has really done with the lineup changes that she has done is tried to disrupt the timing of these potent Kentucky hitters. And so Bozeman in the circle trying to spin the ball more than try to overpower these Kentucky hitters.
And as an elite hitter, you've seen the pitchers the first 2 days. Does this throw you off a little bit as we take a look at Van Studeman in her 8th year, Samantha Ricketts, her associate head coach, next to her?
As a hitter, it doesn't matter who's in the circle. You've got to time them up, and that's your on-deck time.
Schaper, good play by Heimburger to go out and make the catch. Very difficult retreat for the first out.
What you like to see is a great drop step. So she hesitates just a little bit, but really gets going. That catch, you can reach better with one hand, but is able to secure it with both and get the first out.
That's a former second baseman. Are you impressed by that second base defense?
I would like to see my outfield be a little bit closer on that play because they were playing a little bit more shallow as a leadoff hitter of Schaper, and so I would like to see an outfielder make that play, but as a second baseman, you got to cover a lot of ground.
So Kayla Kowalik, the freshman, steps in, hitting .385 on the season, and the outfield and the infield both drawn in, anticipating the slap.
It was Kat Moore's positioning yesterday, where she is right now, that allowed Kowalik to get that triple to set Kentucky up to win the game in the bottom of the 6th. So that positioning did not pay off well for them yesterday.
Kowalik coming into this game, she is 3 for 6 in the series, has scored 4 runs. She's got that split grip. She's ahead 3-0. Watches it sail by. That's a 4-pitch walk. Let's take a look now at the defense behind Bozeman. They cleaned things up yesterday after committing 3 errors on Friday.
Number 11, Abby
Montana
Cheek.
Davidson getting her second straight start at third. Her sister Mia, the slugger, is catching as usual for this ball club. And speaking of sluggers, Abby Cheek, the quintessential slugger for Kentucky, just pounded a pitch yesterday for a 3-run home run. And so Abby is 1 away from tying the all-time record for home runs in a career at Kentucky.
Cheek has really changed her dynamic this year. In years past, the first 3 years here at Kentucky, she was a free swinger, went up very aggressive, would swing out of the zone many times, and for some reason has been able to flip the switch this year and become more calm in the box, more disciplined. But this home run yesterday was an absolute no-doubter. A 3-hop to the second fence out there. I mean, a 1-hopper to the second fence. That is a poke. It takes a big hitter like Cheek that has the power. She can squat 300 pounds, but she truly is just a force to be reckoned with in the box.
And Brittany Cervantes is the only Wildcat ahead of her. Brittany is in the Kentucky dugout, looking down right now, and it's inevitable that her home run record will be broken. She was a terrific player here. Her last year was 2012. 1-1 pitch, taken low.
We asked Coach Lawson to compare and contrast the two of them, Cheek and Cervantes. She said, you know, it's hard to contrast and compare these two because they are playing in such different eras. The bat technology has changed, and there's just different players in the lineup. That
looked like a home run cut. Foul ball, so Kowalik comes back to first.
Davidson behind the plate is such a dynamic player back there. Not only is she a wall that blocks up everything that's in the dirt, giving the pitchers the sense of security that they can throw all their pitches knowing that she's back there, but she is so light on her feet that she bounces out of that box and is able to come away with a lot of throws to first base.
Cheek all over that one, sends it to the wall. Kowalik runs very well. She is being waved home. Abby Cheek comes through with the RBI double.
Cheek has recognized that she is the player that pitchers will focus on and try to get out the most within the Kentucky lineup. And because of that, she has learned how to go the other way with pitches that stay on the outer half. Cheek has been known to leg out triples as that ball gets into the right-hand corner. But that one in that 7-8 hole between the center fielder and the right fielder comes away with not only an RBI, but a double of her own.
6th double of the year for Cheek. She adds to her RBI total, now 28 on the year, tied with Alex Martins for the team lead, and Alex steps in against the freshman Bozeman.
Martins has really been in this position to protect Abby Cheek. She has power of her own. She has 5 home runs on the year, but Martins in this spot behind Cheek, making it hard to pitch around Cheek, knowing you have to face Martins next.
Davidson handling that inside pitch well. Martins, a junior who has been a starter since she came to campus. Bozeman looking at that wristband. Both head coaches also call pitches for their respective teams in this series. Rachel Lawson, 12 years, 10 straight NCAA tournaments. She has done a great job with this Kentucky team, taking them to one World Series. That was 5 years ago. And has gotten some pep in her offense now, which was not always the case. It's a pitching and defense kind of program, and now they have some hitters.
It became a focus 2 years ago, recognizing that situational hitting was not one of their fortes. So they started Project 172 in 2017 because they came in 172nd in the nation with that scoring potential. So right now, sitting at 11th, you can tell that that's been a focus for them for the past 2 seasons.
2-2 pitch, Martins, that's a foul ball. And this is coming against very good competition as well. Last year, Kentucky played the #1 strength of schedule in the nation. And this year, they have already played a ton of ranked teams. In order, they played in February Texas, Oregon, and James Madison. all ranked teams. So it's not like they're getting hits against directional schools. Martins directs that into the gap. And Cheek, you mentioned how well she runs. Martins, not so much. She's tagged out trying to get to second, but it's 2-0 Kentucky.
And for Martins, she was not hung out to dry. While this is a great RBI hit, back up the middle, takes her hands right through this ball, drives it right to Kat Moore in center field, who comes up trying to gun out Cheek. But Cheek, a very quick runner, and so able to come in on that one. Martins, however, getting caught up in between the two bases. There was nobody at first base. She could have easily retreated to first and been safe, but instead chose to go for second, and it doesn't come out on her favor.
So that's the second out of the inning. Base is empty now for Mallory Payton, sophomore from Madisonville, Kentucky. It's about 3 hours away from here, Madisonville. You familiar with Madisonville, Kentucky resident Jenny Dalton Hill?
I've been all over Kentucky. The thing that's unique about Kentucky is they say everything by county rather than by city, and so I never know where I am.
Okay, I will research what county that's in and get back to you. You're right. I'm from Bell County or Polk County, or what county are we in now?
Fayette County.
Of course, Fayette County. Beautiful day in Lexington. Still a little bit chilly, but the sun has been shining the last couple of days.
Game one, a little different story. A little drizzle, very chilly, tough conditions to play in, and Mississippi State struggled to respond, not scoring any runs in that game.
New has to hustle, gets it over to Heimburger covering second to get Payton, but a good start for the Cats. They put up 2 in the first.
For Kentucky in the first inning, 2 runs.
I'm actually really good at that game where you put the Oreo on your forehead and have to wiggle your face to get it in your mouth. I'm really good.
Yeah, I can dance really well.
Art. Really good at art. I can clack my mouth.
I can do the worm.
I can wiggle my ears.
I'm pretty good at hacky.
I get kind of crafty sometimes,
If I want to.
The hidden talents of the Tigers of LSU. We'll see what kind of softball talent they have coming up. They play at 5 Eastern time in the SEC Network against mighty Florida. Florida won yesterday 4-3. Kelly Barnhill, 988 strikeouts now in her career only. Stacey Nelson has over 1,000. So we look forward to that coming up. And Kendall Lindemann, boy, what a get Lindemann was, who was so terrific at the University of Minnesota. Coaching change, she transfers down to Florida and has made her impact known immediately.
On that bat needed with the graduation of some potent hitters out of Florida's lineup last year.
Carter Spexarth leading things off. She hit a grand slam yesterday. As Mississippi State again got out to that 6-run lead before falling 9-8. Do you have a hidden talent that you would want to share with the public?
I have no idea what I would share.
Oh, I see. It's the sharing part that's keeping it back. That is a foul ball.
I don't know that I have the hidden talent of putting the Oreo on my face.
Yeah, I didn't know that was a thing.
No. I can put them in my mouth and eat them very quickly, but I don't know that I can put on my forehead.
Yes.
That would slow down the eating, though, right?
Yeah, that's too much. That's too much work.
I can wiggle my ears. That can't be seen right now, but it's fun to get to know the stories of these athletes outside the white lines.
Yeah, a lot of them forget they're young ladies, they're kids. Cheek throws across to easily get Spexarth in this Kentucky defense. We talked about how that's been one of the staples under Rachel Lawson. Vic, Kowalik, and Rainwater, that right field spot, as Jenny mentioned, has been a little up in the air for this club. Very solid infield. Cheek and Reed, especially on the left side. Jenny Schaper, the veteran catcher behind the plate. Martins and Payton on the right side. Montana Davidson, her first career home run yesterday. She is the older sister of Nia. Did not play last year, redshirted with a knee injury. And head coach Van Studeman says that she is one of the team leaders. So a miss on the pitch by Humes.
This pitch just up and out of the zone, but you can tell that this one is moving through the zone, which is what you want as a pitcher. You don't want your pitches to sit flat. You need to spin, make sure that they continue to move as they get to the hitter and get out of their way.
Chance for Reed, moving well. And that's the way to get to a ground ball. So 2 ground balls to the left side and 2 outs.
Not only does Reed have great range, but her transfer speed is so fast. You can see her throw on the run, throw up the middle. She makes it look easy, and I can tell you that is not an easy play to make with your momentum carrying you into right field and having to release that ball a little bit further away from your body to make the angle over to first.
So now Sarai New tries to keep things going. 5 straight. Set down by Humes after allowing a leadoff bunt single. That one is in the air and a play for Martins. So a very nifty 7-pitch 1-2-3 inning for Humes. Welcome back. The SEC's weekly awards for softball players. Player of the Week, Amanda Sanchez. But first, let's start with Montana Fouts, the great freshman right-handed pitcher. She was your Freshman of the Week. And now there's Amanda Sanchez, the Missouri transfer, who hit only 700 last week. Not a bad week. And we have the Pitcher of the Week right here, right now, Jenny, in Autumn Humes.
Able to do so well from the circle. It was last week's performance, though, against South Carolina that garnered her that award.
And she's got the in-between innings. We saw her down in the dugout with the glasses, and she told you she was going to wear them. So she's got the St. Patrick's Day glasses going on and the beads. And as Katie Reed leads off this inning, but she has done most of her work, against ranked opponents and has done quite well. Reed squares to bunt.
Looking to put that one down first base, recognizing Sarai New back on the infield. If she had just punched that one a little bit further out in front of the plate, she had an opportunity to get down the line. But you've got to love a heads-up player like Reed, who hits not only 2 home runs in the first game, but willing to find some short game as well to get things started for Kentucky in the bottom of the second.
She was 2 for 2 in that 5-inning game. 2 3-run home runs. Chance for Montana Davidson, and another collision, but New on the bag, and Reed is out. And Sarai New, her defensive positioning at first is a little unorthodox.
It leaves herself vulnerable to those collisions. Even though the running lane is in effect, Sarai New steps across that line, taking away the opportunity for Reed to get down the line. So that left foot, as it strides, comes across into the play of Reed. Reed plays it correctly. There's nowhere else for her to go. Sarai New does take the brunt of that fall. But the problem is you've got Sarai New in the way of that play, and that's the argument that Rachel Lawson is making over at first base. The ball, however, was caught before Reed got there, so there is nothing that needs to be discussed other than the fact that Sarai New is setting herself up continually in the way of those runners.
And we certainly saw that yesterday in a play that we showed again in the Open. It was a crucial play. There was no call made, and it turned the game around. It could have been ruled a double play, but instead a run came around to score for Kentucky, and we talked to Rachel Lawson about it before the game, and Rachel just had a conversation with Steve Gold over there at first base.
And the conversation also entails, is it flagrant? Abby Cheek and Sarai New had a very violent collision at first base yesterday, and so one side arguing that it was a flagrant collision, which would result in an ejection. It was not ruled as such, and Abby Cheek is allowed to play today.
So let's take a look at that play yesterday.
So it's an infield hit. It's coming across the diamond from the shortstop. Sarai New, though, trying to make a play at home. So it has nothing to do with the fact that Cheek was out at first. She was. The problem was she was in the way for the next play. What should have been the call was that Kowalik at home should have been out as well because of that collision at first base. So it was not a running lane violation. What happened was the collision after the play, which prevented the throw that should have been made to home, could not be made. And so Kentucky comes away with the win because of the lack of that call.
Now a little conference in the circle, and we talked, and Coach Lawson said that she actually didn't see it live because she was a little concerned with the way Kowalik was running from third base. She thought that wasn't awesome, but she went back and looked at it and said that it would have been very difficult to make that play in real time where the umpires are positioned.
And there is no replay in our game at this time. The SEC tournament will have replay, but only certain plays are available to be replayed. So when it comes down to it, Lawson was not even aware of the collision at first base because she was watching her runner at third.
There was a strikeout. Henson working her way into the lineup because she went 2 for 2 yesterday.
It's the disruption of timing right now that is making Bozeman effective. She's keeping the ball down in the zone, and this one gets the swing and the miss from a potent hitter, Henson, who came away 2 for 2 yesterday.
First strikeout of the game for Bozeman. And then the bunt put down. It is a foul ball. Bailey Vick tried to put it down. You saw Davidson just pounce on it from behind the plate.
And the plate is in fair territory, and so when those balls get in the box, it's hard to delineate what's fair and what's foul. So you have to play out this ball just to be safe. It's a drag bunt, but you can notice that it comes just beyond the plate or outside that line. It's at the discretion of the home plate umpire to be able to make that call, and he gives it the foul ball.
Inside pitch, and Leah Davidson behind the plate. She's known as a prolific hitter, but she says she loves to catch, loves to throw people out, very involved in the game. I think it'd be cool to be a catcher, just you get to wear one of those helmets. No? Not like when you played and you had to put your ball cap on backwards, and I played too, poorly. Now they have these cool little helmets.
They are cool, but I think the thing that's neat about Mia Davidson behind the dish, she recognizes that she loves to be involved in every play, and that's why she ultimately was behind the plate when she was younger, because she couldn't keep focus out in the field.
Yeah, she says she's got a little attention span issue, and when you're catching, you're the only one out there who's involved in every single play. But she is a really good catcher and one of the best power hitters in the country. She was the SEC Freshman of the Year last year. Framed that one nicely, but it was just a little low. Now a full count with 2 out and nobody on for Vick. Gets it on the ground. And the play made nicely by Heimburger. And that is a nice 1-2-3 inning for Bozeman, the freshman. We are in Lexington. Let's take a look at what happened in the first inning.
Abby Cheek with a ball in the gap would score Kowalik to give them their first run, and then the speed of Cheek takes advantage of a Martins hit that would get through the infield. Cheek would come around to score as well, so that's where we are now, a 2-0 lead for Kentucky.
Yeah. Autumn Humes, who won on Friday, just 17 pitches, Jenny, in the first 2 innings.
So efficient. That's what you're expecting out of Humes in the circle. She comes in as a transfer and was the Division II Player of the Year that freshman season. But coming in so calm and composed in the circle, and it's much easier to pitch with a lead.
The only hit she gave up was a leadoff bunt single in the first inning to Candace Dennis. Now Emily Heimburger, starting at second base, sat out yesterday, listed at 5'4". By the way, of those 17 pitches by Humes, 13 for strikes. Picking up where she left off on Friday when she shut out the Bulldogs.
Heimburger has seen play in the outfield, playing left field last year, has moved to the infield this year defensively to pick up that middle infield slot at second base. So she's been all over the diamond, and right now just needing to find her consistency in the box to garner an everyday starter slot to keep her solidified at second base and here in the lineup.
And she's down 0-2. Another ball finds the outfield. Kowalik there for the out. Coming up Thursday, SEC baseball at 7 Eastern. And it's another great series as Florida takes on Vanderbilt right here on the SEC Network, streaming live on the ESPN app. First game of a big 3-game set between these great baseball rivals. From Mississippi State, now the number 9 hitter. Today, it's Kinsey Gels. Third different lineup used by head coach Van Studeman in this third game of the series. And that one is batted foul. Kinsey, a redshirt freshman who did not play last year. She took care of a little shoulder issue. Played travel ball with Mia Davidson in Birmingham. Over 61 miles an hour on that pitch.
Gels still looking for her first hit in this series. Disrupts the timing. Humes doing a good job in the circle of just keeping these pitches at different speeds, not only hitting location, but disrupting the timing of the hitters. I loved facing a pitcher that would stay consistent with her speed. If she didn't have an off speed, I knew I was going to be able to be productive. So as Humes sits in the circle and she's throwing it at different times, it really is hard to time her up and get your barrel through the zone at the right point. Humes taking advantage of that right now and keeping Gels off balance.
That time she went upstairs to get her. Second strikeout of the game for Autumn Humes.
And this pitch completely out of the zone, and it's what the rest of the at-bat did to set this up. Not only was she disrupting her timing, but it got Gels to swing out of the zone because she had fallen behind in the count.
So the first time through the lineup, Mississippi State 1 for 9. That was the bunt single to lead off for Candace Dennis. Humes has set down 8 straight. Dennis steps in for the second time, swings and misses.
And that's a big hack for a leadoff slot, but Van Studeman really likes the tools that Dennis brings to the top of the lineup. She has great short game, but also has some gap-to-gap power that can give her a different look in each at-bat.
Boy, and Humes is going right after him, too.
But she's not going after them with strikes. She's throwing this ball out of the zone. So right now it's up to Mississippi State to calm down. One swing of the bat does not a win create right now. They're 2 runs ahead. So you've got to make sure that you're swinging base hits together instead of trying to win it in just one swing.
And the play is made very nicely. Peyton had to charge. Martin's covered to end the inning. And Autumn Humes is on a roll. That was a 10-pitch inning. She has retired the last 9 batters she's faced. 7 Innings is a weekly softball podcast ready to chronicle the road to the Women's College World Series with ESPN personalities like Jenny Dalton-Hill. 7 Innings entertains us all the way to OKC. Listen now on the ESPN app, iTunes, or wherever you choose to get your podcast listening pleasure. So what did you talk about on the podcast this week, Jenny?
I went over Arizona Alumni Weekend, but more importantly, I went over the sounds of the game and what really gets your blood flowing. And for me, it's the sound of a great hit off the bat. And we've seen so many this weekend, 7. For them to be able to swing, it just sounds so good off the bat. I love it. Now, it's different than it used to be. We used to have the ping. But now, just the sound of the ball off the bat, you know it's a no-doubter. We saw a big one by Cheek yesterday. Spexarth with a grand slam. I mean, just such big hits. This is my kind of series. A lot of offense, a lot of scoring, but Game 3, a little bit different.
Yeah, it's been Humes dominating in the circle so far, and a nice second inning for the freshman Kayla Bozeman, somewhat of a surprise starter. Bottom of the lineup, number 9 hitter Sarah Rainwater. Just hitting 133 on the season. Really, both of these teams, you have, once they get to their 8-9 hitters, the batting averages drop off quite a bit. And a second straight play for Heimburger to throw over to get the out.
In games 1 and 2 of this series, we saw 25 hits, 7 home runs, and in this game, just 3 hits. 2 for Kentucky, 1 for Mississippi State, so not as much offense in day 3, which is typically the day that I look to really take advantage of pitchers who you've seen. Bozeman, though, has not been in the circle for Mississippi State, and so a first look for Kentucky at her in the circle.
Humes again started and went all 5 innings in the 8-0 win for Kentucky on Friday night, so it's the second time that they have seen Humes. Mississippi State has seen Humes. Schaper popped up on a very nice play by Heimburger to retreat to the outfield grass in the first at-bat for Kentucky this game. So the first time through the lineup for Kayla Bozeman, the freshman, not bad at all. As you mentioned, just 2 hits against this potent lineup. And she is retired, 5 in a row now.
It was the free pass, though, that put Kowalik on and allowed Cheek and Martins to take advantage. So you have to limit those free passes to keep yourself in a game.
It was a 4-pitch walk to Kowalik, and then the RBI double by Abby Cheek, followed by Alex Martin's RBI single that got Kentucky the 2-0 lead in the first inning. But Bozeman settled in nicely, just 12 pitches to get 3 outs in the second inning, making her first start in an SEC game.
And she's been impressive. Other than those 2 hits and the walk, she has really set down these Kentucky hitters. She's been controlled in the circle, hitting her spots. You do see her get a little erratic with her pitches at times, getting them a little too far out of the zone, but she's done well against Schaper.
Schaper sends it to Spexarth, who grabs it for out number 2 in shallow right.
The adjustment you need to see out of Schaper is to make sure that she's going the other way with power. Both of her hits have gone to the right side, but it's because Bozeman is staying away from her in the zone. So she's got to make sure that she's going back to the dugout, analyzing each of those at-bats, and making adjustments from plate appearance to plate appearance.
Kayla Kowalik scored the first run of the game, and she is yet to see a strike now. That was a 4-pitch walk in the first.
Kowalik is a dangerous hitter. The thing is, with nobody on, I would play her a little bit more straight up. The defense right now playing her in as a slapper, but she has that power potential. We saw a triple yesterday, but right now playing her as a true slapper, trying to get her to punch it through the infield.
And another ball. We asked Rachel Lawson about this freshman who has been starting for her. She said she can't really put a finger on it, on just what makes her so special. She says she's just really good.
She's a true athlete. She steps in and is able to be a chameleon into whatever role she's asked to play.
That's the first strike that she has been thrown, and now her second at bat. Kowalik is from Texas, where she was a good volleyball player and also was a state finalist on a 4x400 relay team and track. So she's got all sorts of speed. And she's ahead 3-1 with the power hitter Abby Cheek on deck.
It's almost as though they're pitching around Kowalik to get to Cheek, which doesn't make sense because of the speed of Kowalik. It puts her in a great position to get herself to second base with a stolen base and then give the power of Cheek to push her around.
3-1. Kowalik looked like she was taking all the way, and that's a strike to load it up.
That's a good hold. As a slapper, as you come through the box, that pitch down and in is really hard to push the other way because you're trying to take this ball to the left side to give yourself an opportunity to get down the line. So it's a good hold for Kowalik.
That one is a ball. 2 walks for Kowalik. That one on a full count. And it brings up Abby Cheek. Last time up, she had an RBI double.
And she's trying to just hit the bottom of the zone, but coming in under the knees, not able to be called. Kowalik showing great plate discipline and draws 2 walks on the day.
Number 11, Abby Cheek.
So Cheek trying to do some damage with 2 outs. A little off that at 53 miles an hour. Here's Abby's first at bat today.
With this ball going the other way, Cheek knows that nobody's going to put it up in her wheelhouse, and so she's learned how to go the other way, be disciplined, and stay on that pitch. Does a great job of going with it, getting the double, and the first run of the game for Kentucky.
Having a terrific series. 3-run home run yesterday. RBI double earlier today. Just laid off of that one, and we'll see Davidson. She's not afraid to throw down to first, but Kowalik got back easily.
Davidson loves to throw the ball. She will pick off runners. She will throw down at any opportunity available. But because of that, it keeps a runner in check close to the bag, which gives them Mississippi State the advantage, because that will prove Kowalik will not get as big a jump this next time around.
Cheek sends it straight back out of play.
We saw a little bit of a roster increase for Lawson this year, and when asked about that, she said, you know, I just needed more speed off the bench. I needed to give myself an opportunity to put more runners in. Well, just 36 stolen bases so far this year. That's not uncharacteristic for Kentucky.
A huge strikeout for the freshman, and Bozeman with the fist pump as she set down Cheek to end the inning.
You never want to elevate the ball to Cheek, but you also take off a little speed, and it'll get the swing and a miss. A big one for Bozeman.
Welcome back. Getting ready for the top of the fourth inning. Joined now by Van Studeman, the head coach for Mississippi State. And today you decided to go with the freshman Kayla Bozeman in the circle. What's behind that decision?
Well, they'd seen everybody else, and Bozeman's a fighter, and she deserves that opportunity as well. I thought Grace Fagan, she's going to give us a chance as well, and you'll probably see her, and Loza as well, have done a really good job in this series. So you'll probably see everybody, but she deserves her opportunity. She's got a good off speed, and that's what's helping her right now so far in the game.
And defensively, you've made a couple of changes this weekend. Are you settling into a starting lineup, do you think, in this first SEC series?
You know, I don't know. I think it's about giving people opportunities and waiting for the one to grab it and run with it. And I think I'm just waiting for that person to grab that opportunity and hair on fire and take it for themselves. So I don't know. I don't know that it's all said and done just yet.
All right, Coach Studeman, thanks as always.
Thank you.
Mississippi State wearing their green uniforms today. Happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody. Everybody's Irish today.
I did forget my green, though.
Yes, you did.
So
you have been. There's been an internal fine that will be imposed later.
I will have to run through the crowd, hope not to get pinched, and head home and put some green on as soon as I get there.
And Kentucky wearing their green. We got green socks, green belts, green visors. Just a nice day in Lexington. And now we get a chance to look at Mia Davidson, who is Mississippi State's slugger. 530 so far on the season. Autumn Humes has pitched well, giving up just one hit. Davidson, not just one of the best hitters in the SEC, but in the entire nation. You can't do better than first. Lisa DiCarlo also with 14 home runs for Georgia. Cut off by Cheek. Davidson runs well, and that's the first out of the inning.
You gotta love the angle that Cheek takes to this ball, recognizing that it's not sharply hit because she is able to cut it off. That play comes across the diamond in plenty of time. If that ball had been able to get back to Reed, that would have been a much closer play over at first base.
Remember, only 60 feet between bases in softball. 10 in a row now retired by Autumn Humes. Leilua right behind Davidson with 13 home runs. And Fa had a ball that left the yard yesterday.
And it was a no-doubter as well. The ball was absolutely flying out of this park. And right now, that's what they need. They need a little boost of energy and confidence. Nobody really squaring up Humes so far in the circle.
Mississippi State actually out-hit Kentucky 4-3 in that 8-0 win on Friday for the Wildcats. There were 3 errors, so 7 of the 8 runs were unearned in Humes' start. And Humes picked up the victory. Had 4 strikeouts, didn't walk anybody, and she is mowing through the lineup so far this afternoon.
I would say the biggest difference between Kentucky and Mississippi State within this series is just the errors. Mississippi State had 3 in game 1 and 1 yesterday, but that allows base runners to get on, and that's where those home runs really hurt.
Skied towards Reed, who gives way to Cheek. That was a big-time pop-up.
typically you'll see a shortstop take priority over a third baseman, but Cheek was tracking it the whole time and called her off.
Number 2.
Both Cheek and Reed are seniors. Been playing beside each other a long time on this Kentucky team. Kat Moore struck out looking on a changeup in her first at bat. Moore had 2-0.
I always like to look at a slapper's eyes before they hit, because what they're looking at is the depth of their corners. So watch as Kat Moore looks up. She'll look down the line at third and at first to see where those defenders are, to see if the short game's in play.
And they were about even with the bag, but then creep in once the pitch is getting ready to be delivered. Moore batting in the cleanup spot this afternoon. Has showed some pop in her bat.
But as a defender on the corners, your job is to make sure that you keep yourself aware of the short game, because you have to charge hard to come get that ball that will be bunted back up towards the pitcher. In baseball, a good sacrifice or a good drag bunt is taken down the lines because your fielders are further away than your pitcher. But in the game of softball, your corners are creeping so hard and so quickly that the furthest defender is your pitcher. So a good drag bunt typically goes right back up the middle, which is a little bit different than baseball.
2-2 pitch to Moore. It's a 30-foot difference in the baselines between the two games of baseball and softball. And you played on the women's national baseball team too, so you know both sides.
Well, it's fun because the strategy in both games is so different. Yeah, they're both bat ball sports, but the strategy between the two and the way that you get it done, there's a lot more that comes into the game of baseball, I think, in terms of strategy than there does in our game, because the base paths are so small.
Another 2-2. Moore swings and misses, and Autumn Humes is on a roll. That was a 13-pitch inning. Rachel Lawson will speak with us when we come back. Bottom of the fourth inning about to begin. Kentucky up 2-0, joined now by Rachel Lawson, the head coach for the Wildcats. And you went with Autumn Humes. She got the win on Friday night, and she's looking great so far today. What are you seeing?
Yeah, she's doing a great job mixing her speeds and changing the zones and everything. So right now I think she's doing a really good job.
Abby Cheek is so close to a home run record, but we're seeing a little bit of a different dynamic in her game this year. What have you asked her to do her senior season?
Well, we've asked her to do a lot better with pitch selection, so she's not as free to swing. I think she's starting to get more comfortable, so I do think we'll start seeing the home runs go. But I've just been so proud of her for the number of walks that she's taken, and really she's, for the most part, she's swinging at hitters' pitches instead of pitchers' pitches.
All right, Coach, thank you so much for the time.
All right, thank you.
Nice green windbreakers, too, that the Kentucky staff are wearing. And talk about Abby Cheek. You look, and she's never really been a huge strikeout batter, but her ratio this year is excellent. Abby Cheek, only 5 strikeouts and 21 walks to go along with the 6 home runs so far. The 6 home runs a little low for her, but showing more discipline at the plate.
Well, and you've recognized as well the change in her batting average, because she's increased over 150 points simply because of that discipline she's showing at the plate, not chasing those wild pitches.
Hit .317 last year, and she's at .462 coming into this game. Alex Martins leading things off in the fourth inning, had an RBI single, but a base running error. She was caught trying to stretch it into a double back in the 2-run first inning. Meanwhile, Kayla Bozeman, the freshman, has really settled down after that 2-run inning. Ended the last inning by striking out Cheek.
Martin's one of those hitters whose swing doesn't change when she gets 2 strikes. She continues to have that quick path right to the ball. She has a lot of power in her swing, but stays very composed. Unable to really find her footing in this series, though. Does not have more than 1 hit.
Let's take a look at that RBI hit back in the first inning.
The thing that was unfortunate was it was a great hit and did score a run, but because of a base running error, she gets herself thrown out at second base. Typically, a first baseman comes across to be the cutoff to the outfield. That's what happened. Sarai New had vacated first base. All she had to do was retreat. She would have stayed in it.
And another strikeout. Davidson has to pick it up to make it official. Back-to-back strikeouts now for Bozeman. Tonight at 8 Eastern, we'll have our SEC Now Selection Special, where our experts will break down the brackets and preview all the games the SEC teams are playing in the men's NCAA tournament. Catch it right here on the SEC Network. It also streams live, as always, on the ESPN app. Very exciting year for SEC men's basketball this season. Mallory Payton grounded out her first time up, and we found out Madisonville, Kentucky is in Hopkins County.
There you go.
Now, what does that mean?
You're asking someone who's very geographically challenged.
Okay.
It means it's in Kentucky.
But
and
you've heard of it.
I've driven through it.
Okay. That's about 3 hours from here. That's all I have for you.
They've produced a very good softball player in Mallory Payton.
Yes. And Macy Morris is from Bell County, Kentucky, and she's been a great player for the women's basketball team here. They're going to head to the NCAA tournament. We'll find out where they're going tomorrow night. Bell County's up north somewhere.
There you go. Well, there was a big basketball game yesterday between Tennessee and Kentucky men, and Tennessee coming away with that last second win, and big celebration at the SEC tournament for them.
Now Bozeman behind, and that's her second 4-pitch walk given up on the day, third overall. All right, now this is showing where we are. Here's some geography for you.
Okay,
Todd Koulis doing a great job, our producer. So the UK is where we are in Lexington. So, okay, the counties aren't on there, so you're lost, aren't you?
This is ridiculous. Come on, TK. Our producer putting me on the spot. Yes, I've lived here for 20 years. No, I don't venture out very often. I follow my GPS and just go where it says. Wow. Okay, so obviously when it talks about hidden talents, that is not one of mine.
You would not do well in a geography bee, is what you're saying.
Wow, totally exposed.
So JC Babbs now is going to run for Mallory Payton, the pride of Hopkins County, over at first. As Katie Reed steps in. Reed has not gotten a hit since Friday when she hit 2 3-run home runs. Babbs faked going over, and Davidson fakes the throw down.
Well, you can expect that if a hitter hits 2 home runs, ties a school record in RBI in one game, that you're going to have a target on your back for the rest of the series, and that's what's happened with Reed. The problem is she's swinging out of the zone right now. She saw the ball like a beach ball in game 1, but now these pitchers are going to have to be a little bit more crafty around her, and she has not adapted.
Takes that one for a strike. Katie Reed on her way to the University of Pittsburgh Dental School in the fall. Tremendous student athlete.
And one of the most humble Kentucky players that I think you'll find. Not only is she amazing at shortstop and with the bat in her hand, but she comes across as one of the best teammates that you'll find for UK.
Babbs takes off. The throw down is too late as it one hops in. Stolen base for Babbs.
Great hands by Heimburger to be able to pull this one away. Davidson leaves this one short, comes up in the dirt, so it's a great pick, but there's no opportunity to come around for the tag.
Babbs now 3 for 5 in stolen bases on the season, puts her into scoring position. You're right, that's a nice pick by Heimburger to keep it in the infield. 2-2 pitch now to Reed. Little something And some of these Kentucky batters really struggling with that off-speed pitch, which is the bread and butter for Bozeman.
Well, and Bozeman, everybody knows that changeup is going to be in every single at-bat. The problem is when you've got 2 strikes on you, you have to be a little bit more defensive and put the bat out there. She very quick could have laid down a bunt or a check swing ball on that to be able to get down the line, but it freezes her and she can't come away with it.
So with 2 outs, it's up to Kelsey Henson. She struck out swinging her first time up, sends that out to left, tracked nicely by Dennis to end the threat and end the 4th inning. Still 2-0 Cats.
Kentucky in the 4th inning. No runs, no hits, no Mississippi Seniors. And 1
Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy.
Gotta be caught. That's gotta be caught. Charlie, give me a Coke Zero. Charlie, where's my Coke?
Charlie, get me a Coke Zero.
Coke Zero?
Gotta be caught.
Is that your favorite shirt?
Macy, where's my zero? I need another zero. Pitchers go to the pen. I need a zero, guys. Where's my zero?
Well, that is Van Studeman imitations, and Van is hiding behind the post right now, and her team asked to give their favorite Vanisms, if you will, and apparently she's a fan of Coke Zero.
I would say, as a player, I hope that she does not watch that coming back from a break, because they're going to get some extra sprints over that one, or some extra Coke Zero, maybe.
Yeah, teammates having fun with it. Particularly, you see Fa'alelua, who is from Hawthorne, California, trying to put on that southern accent that Van has. So they're just having some fun talking about their coach. And right now, Mississippi State down 2-0 as we head to the top of the 5th inning on St. Patrick's Day. Mississippi State trying to avoid being swept in their first SEC series of the season. Kentucky trying to get 2 straight sweeps. They went to Columbia and swept South Carolina last weekend. And hit on the nose. Spexarth finds Cheek's glove for out number 1.
Hot corner coming through on that one. She was a little bit ahead of it. Cheek. Right at her. That's away with the out.
Bulldogs, number 32, Montana Davidson.
So both pitchers have been going well. Bozeman, the freshman, Humes, trying to beat this team for the 2nd time this weekend.
The biggest difference in those 2 lines is those free passes. That's been the thing that's hurt Bozeman the most. Only 2 hits, but they came after the walk.
And her pitch count is into the 60s. How about this for Autumn Humes? Last inning, she threw 13 pitches. That was her highest pitch count of any inning today.
And that's what you're expecting in the circle. Short at bats, give your defense an opportunity to play. She hasn't come away with many strikeouts, but she's been effective around the circle.
Montana Davidson, who had one of the best Van Studeman impressions, swings and misses. Hit a home run yesterday.
I don't know that I would have had the guts to call out Coach Chandrea and the things that he said to us, but I love that dynamic is available at Mississippi State. A true family. They've gone through some really hard things, and I think that's developed the relationships from coach to player and player to coach. I mean, we've seen transfers in because of deaths in the family. Fa'alelua's father passed away last year, and Mississippi State giving her an opportunity to join their family and find the love of the game again. And the passing of Alex Wilcox.
Martins gets to it. 2 away. Log on to secnetwork.com for more softball content. While you're there, you can check out a lot of things, including Alabama now still unbeaten as they're playing over in Hawaii. Kendall Lindemann, the former Gopher, now bashing it for Florida. Scores, highlights, and a whole lot more. secnetwork.com. Sarai New popped out to Martins, her only at bat. Humes has just allowed her first base runner since Dennis led off this game with the bunt single.
You love the fact that Sarai New is willing to stand there and take it. That ball is in the box, so it is a pitch that can be worn without penalty of having to come back. There is no need to make an attempt to get out of the way of a pitched ball, and so she wears it and gets first base.
That's the 4th batter that Humes has hit this season. And the first base runner since the 1st inning. So 2 away for Heimburger here in the bottom of the order. We talked about some of the struggles, but Heimburger coming in hitting .257 on the year. flew out to center her first at bat, first and only at bat.
Heimburger has sat at the top of the lineup for some of this season, but now finds her way down to the bottom, trying to give some speed to the bottom of the lineup to flip it around to those big bats at the top.
And by hitting New, that broke up a string of 14 straight Bulldogs who were retired by Humes and her defense. Heimburger to Katie Reed. Quick throw, and that ends the inning. More solid defensive play. That was a 10-pitch inning that time.
For Mississippi State in the 5th inning, a run still hit.
Welcome back, and this is one of the things that Lexington is known for in beautiful Fayette County, outside here in Lexington. Some great, beautiful horse farms, all sorts of beauty going on. We've had a nice pitcher's duel in this one as we take a look now at the SEC scoreboard. Georgia up early. Some of the other action that you will see around the conference today, and the big one, 5 Eastern time, Florida and LSU again on the SEC Network. We invite you to catch that second game of the 3-game set at 5 Eastern, streaming live on the ESPN app. Florida won game 1 yesterday 4-3. Barnhill keeps going. Lindemann hit a grand slam. So a lot of good stuff happening in the SEC on the second weekend of conference play for most teams. Again, first weekend for Mississippi State, and Kentucky trying to go for its second straight series sweep. Pam Ward and Jenny Dalton-Hill joining you on this cool afternoon, about 48 degrees with the wind blowing now out towards left field. And Bailey Vick leading things off. Freshman Kayla Bozeman going all the way in the circle, challenging the third baseman, Davidson. And the ball goes over towards the dugout. And now the umpires look like they were having a little caucus, but it looks like the play will stand.
Well, and it's a play that is just a drag bunt, but the throw comes into the running path of Vic. And as a second baseman, it is so hard to come away with that throw when the runner is coming and the ball are going to intersect at some point. As it's so tough to come away with that catch, but you have to declare yourself. Now, notice the running lane again. That may be something that comes into play into this decision. We've noticed that running lane has been a theme of note within this series, but Bailey Vick way inside the line. That running lane way over there to her right, but the throw, that's a good throw, but it's because of the positioning of Vick that it makes that a tough catch. If Vick were in the running lane, that would have been a much easier play to make. So umpires came together, had a little discussion, but it's an error by the third baseman that will be scored. The ball gets by, and it puts a lot of speed over at second base.
All right, you know the rules very well. She was in play. She wasn't anywhere near even the baseline, much less the running lane.
And I'm curious why we didn't see a bigger fight out of Mississippi State because of that. That did interfere with the play, and it's totally at the discretion of the umpire, but they have now called her out because of that running lane violation. It interfered with the play. The ball had not been secured. It did interfere with the reception of the throw by Heimburger over there at first base, and she's declared out.
Okay, because originally we were told that it was an E5 on the throw, and now indeed that's the correct call. That was she was on the field.
She was flagrantly out of the running lane.
She was not even close to the running lane. She was not even running lane adjacent.
Well, the problem is, as a slapper, you come through the box and you are so far inside the line as you are coming through the ball that your path takes you inside the field of play.
Lauren Johnson pinch hitting now for Sarah Rainwater.
So notice the path of Vic as she's clearly in the box when she makes contact. That is not a problem. But notice how far inside. Sarai New actually has to get out of the way of Vic as she continues down the line. But because she is outside that running lane and interferes with the throw, that's why she's called out.
So the umpires get it right.
That one I do believe is correct.
Yes, I believe it's very correct.
Lawson came out to argue, but there truly, I don't think there was an argument. The umpires were in the correct position. They were able to see that one very clearly, that Vic was outside the running lane, and it did prevent the throw and catch from being made.
And I think when Lawson goes back and looks at the tape, she'll probably have a different opinion. Johnson, just foul. New right fielder Chloe Malaulu is now playing right for Mississippi State. Malaulu, one of 3 Samoans on this team. There's Chloe.
She appeared yesterday as well, came and gave herself an at-bat. But that right field spot for both teams still seems a little fluid.
Johnson lifts it into short left, where Dennis was positioned nicely for the second out. To the top of the order, and Jenny Schaper, who has put the ball in the air twice and been retired. Good job again for Kayla Bozeman, making just her 3rd start of the season, the freshman in the circle. And I would imagine Van Stuyven must be very pleased that she's, we talked to her before the game, and she's still cooking in the bottom of the 5th inning.
Stuyven expected to see a little bit more movement throughout the circle, especially in Game 3, and an untested talent in the circle in Bozeman, but she's done a fantastic job of just staying tight on the zone and fooling these Kentucky hitters and giving them a chance to win this ball game.
We do have activity in both bullpens. Autumn Humes has been spectacular for Kentucky.
Shorman now warming up in the bullpen for Kentucky. Fagan and Loza over for Mississippi State, just in case they're needed.
Kat Moore gives way over there to Dennis. So another fly ball and a 1-2-3 inning for Bozeman, but the Bulldogs need some offense. In Lexington, all of the offense came in the bottom of the 1st inning for Kentucky. Abby Cheek with the RBI double, got things going.
And then Alex Martins, which scored Cheek on a great hit back up the middle, but Bozeman doing a good job in the circle, has limited herself to just those 2 hits. It's been free passes that have put her in a precarious, tough spot.
And Autumn Humes just giving up the bunt single to get things started to Candace Dennis, and since then, just a hit batter. That's the only base runners that Mississippi State has had. Kayla Bozeman, the true freshman, doing well in the circle, and Humes with the ball as she heads back out here in the top of the 6th inning. Pam Moore along with Jenny Dalton-Hill. Kentucky going for this 3-game sweep. And a pinch hitter now, Bevier Robinson, will get things going in the top of the 6th for Kinsey Gels, who struck out in her only appearance in this game.
For Mississippi State, number 00, Bevier Robinson.
Robinson got 1 at-bat and struck out against Humes in the series opener on Friday night.
Not known for a lot of power. Notice the defense pulled in, expecting some short game out of Robinson. For slappers, the longer you can get the ball to touch the ground, the more time you have to get down the baseline. And so you're trying to keep the ball either high in the ground, but Kentucky doesn't give you that hard ground to play with. So slappers here at UK have to really try to punch through the defense rather than getting that high hop that you see a lot of times out of slapper heavy schools. So Georgia has been known to roll that area in front of the home plate. You've also seen it at Tennessee. So some schools, they play to their advantage and the lineup that they carry.
Robinson trying to plunk one in, and a terrific diving catch made by Bailey Vick to retire Robinson.
Vick, a junior here at Kentucky, came in and solidified this left side corner. Kentucky has had problems in the past with those balls down the line, the ability to track. But Bailey Vick, beautiful play to lay out and come away with it. That's a scary dive down the line. If that ball gets past her, it goes into the corner. And with the speed of Bevier Robinson, that could have posed a big problem for Kentucky, but Vick comes away with a big one.
What a play that was to retire Robinson, the pinch hitter. And now we go back to the top of the order, and Candace Dennis, the only Bulldog to get a hit today off of Humes. It was a bunt single to lead off this game. She shows bunt up in the air, and fortunately for Dennis, it got down before Schaper could get it.
So that may have been a foul ball, but because when she made contact, that foot was out of the box, that rule change happened back in 2018. Anytime you make contact with the ball and that foot is outside of the box, that left foot, when it crossed over, came over the line, was outside of the box at contact. It doesn't matter if it's fair or foul. You are automatically out. It's a dead ball. And so Dennis out because she was out of the box at contact.
All right, so 2 away now. Mia Davidson, who has popped up and grounded out so far against Humes. She got 1 of 4 hits against Humes in the opener on Friday. Rachel Lawson calling the pitches from the dugout. Davidson to Reed, who is solid as usual. Another 1, 2, 3 inning. That time only 8 pitches needed by Humes. Welcome back. Nice day in the campus of the University of Kentucky in Lexington as we head to the bottom of the 6th inning. Kentucky shutting out Mississippi State 2-0 as they try to sweep this series. Look at this nice ballpark, John Kropp Stadium. And Kayla Kowalik leading things off. She has drawn walks in both of her plate appearances, and proving your theorem that free passes are hurtful, she scored both times she walked. 4-pitch walk back in the first inning, played it on the RBI double. Actually did not score the second time, excuse me, but that was the free pass given up by the freshman pitcher, Kayla Bozeman.
And it's rare that you find a freshman able to step on campus, not only make an impact right away, but to be so composed in the box. She does not play like a true freshman. She's been moved to the outfield as a true infielder her whole life and has taken over that reign very well. But then in the box, as she attacks these pitchers, she does not swing outside her zone very often, able to be composed and disciplined on the plate.
Again, this is just the 3rd start of the young career of Kayla Bozeman in the circle. A little bit of a rocky start in that first inning when she gave up both runs, but since then she's been really good, using that changeup effectively, and now flashing some leather to retire Kowalik for the first time today. Coming up Wednesday at 9 Eastern, SEC Inside gives you an all-access pass to the men's basketball tournament with never-before-seen footage and sounds right here on the SEC Network, streaming live on the ESPN app. And remind you again that this is Selection Sunday for the men, and the SEC Network will have a breakdown this evening of all of the SEC teams that get into the tournament. Now Abby Cheek up with nobody on base and 1 away. RBI double brought in the first of 2 runs in the first inning off of Bozeman. And yesterday Abby hit a home run, so she is now 1 home run away from tying the all-time record. And there's Brittany Cervantes. And we asked who has the record, and we asked Coach Lawson if she's, it's got to be kind of a precarious position. You have a lot of records at Arizona, some of which are still standing, which is remarkable. It's
been so long.
Well, what I was going to say was during that time span, a lot of great players have gone through Tucson, but you're sitting there, you're on the Kentucky staff, you're an alum, but yet somebody is there right there on the cusp of breaking your record, so it must be sort of a weird feeling.
But how neat for her to be able to be here and experience it and have that as a memory as well, passing on that legacy to the next record holder.
Nice dive by Gels, but she doesn't have a chance to get up and throw out Cheek. Good job just to get to it. That's an infield single for Abby, her second hit of the game.
The difference between an Abby Cheek single and that made by others is the velocity by which it comes off the bat. She absolutely tattoos this ground ball. Gels does a good job of coming across and getting it, but it's so deep in her pocket, she's unable to make that transfer and come across the diamond with the throw. But because she's able to cut that one off, it doesn't get into the gap and prevent extra bases.
So Cheek, with her second hit of the day, will be pinch run for as Kennedy Cowden comes in. Second time we've seen her this weekend as a pinch runner. Runs have been so precious in this game. Coach Lawson trying to get some speed on the base paths. Also gets Cheek back into the dugout so she can rest up to go out and play defense in the seventh. Alex Martin swings through that, and then Davidson throws it into right field. Cowden easily into second on the throwing error by Davidson.
When you have a left-handed batter up, it is so hard to make this throw to get around the batter. She allows this one to get away from her. Mia Davidson, known to throw behind runners, but that is always the risk you run when you're throwing behind a runner and leaving yourself vulnerable to a ball down the line like that.
So an extra 60 feet as Alex Martin steps in. She drove in the second Kentucky run in the first inning. We've been stuck on that score, and that's a hit by pitch as it got Martins right on her protection around her lead elbow.
And that's one of those pitches as a hitter, I never would have taken that pitch on the elbow, but because of that protective arm guard, we have noticed that hitters are able to hold their ground and sometimes almost lean over into the strike zone to be able to garner that hit by pitch. So that protective armor that many batters wear has changed the game for pitchers in the circle because it's hard to run that ball in on the hands of a hitter.
Still has to hurt a little bit at least. Right?
I don't think it does.
Really?
It depends on the velocity of the pitch, I'm sure too. But I remember hitting against Michelle Granger, and I didn't want to get hit even if I was wearing full metal armor. Like some of these throwers are up into the 70s.
Yeah, that's scary, and the pitching rubber is so much closer, certainly than baseball. Tatum Spangler is the pinch runner. Tatum Spangler over at first for Martin. So a couple of pinch runners on now for Kentucky. Mallory Payton swings through one of those patented off-speed pitches of Bozeman. Good block by Davidson as that pitch skipped in.
And being a wall behind the plate not only protects your defense from allowing base runners to go, but it gives your pitcher confidence in the circle to be able to throw all of her pitches, knowing that if one gets away, you'll be there to help her out.
She's a very good defensive catcher behind there in Davidson, and Bozeman, meanwhile, is creeping up on the 100 pitch mark. Just her third start. Two-two pitch and a strikeout. Boy, that freshman has had some big outs.
It's the changeup that's the difference maker. Another off-speed pitch, keeping it low in the zone. Peyton,
Now batting for the Wildcats.
you have to go at it because it starts up in the zone and then just dies off. So it's a good changeup by Bozeman that has absolutely made the difference for her in the circle and kept these hitters for Kentucky at bay.
So now 2 away for Katie Reed. It was grounded out and struck out looking. And she waves at the change.
When you step into the box and you know that the pitcher has that changeup in her pocket, you're going to see it in this at-bat. Your plan needs to be, I'm hitting the changeup or I'm laying off the changeup until I have 2 strikes. And right now it looks like Reed is going at that changeup. But if that's the case, I would move up in the box to be able to attack that a little bit sooner.
Fagan and Loza in the bullpen, and Davidson can't keep that in front of her, so both runners move up on the wild pitch. And here comes Van Studeman out to talk to Bozeman again. She's got a couple of pitchers who appear to be warm out there in the pen.
It's a ball in the zone that just squirts away from Mia Davidson. It would have been a tough grab, a pickup and throw to be able to get over there. With pinch runners on the bases, they are looking to take advantage of any kind of hiccup behind the plate. They were in motion on that ball in the dirt. Now you got a dance party out in center as the bullpen is getting itself ready. Loza, number 98, and Fagan ready to take their chance in the circle.
Kayla Bozeman, only her 3rd career start, the true freshman from Chattanooga, Tennessee, and she's had some good moments out there.
It's the changeup that's been the difference maker for her, able to disrupt the timing of these Kentucky hitters, but she's also kept the ball down in the zone. Keeping the ball down does not allow hitters to elevate. But Kentucky is not taking advantage of those pitches that are in the zone, and so Bozeman keeping very crafty in the circle, but it's the changeup that's been the difference for her.
5 strikeouts. Lays one into Reed. So that was a pretty long mound visit that was broken up by home plate umpire Don Brown. But Coach Studeman deciding to keep in her true freshman to try to get Reed and get out of this and only be down 2 heading to the top of the 7th. Reed changes it. Goes opposite field, and both runs come in. A big 2-out hit for Katie Reed.
Reed was the hero in game 1 of this series with 2 home runs, but was silent yesterday. 0 for 3 on the day and hitless in this game as well, striking out looking on a changeup in her last at bat. This one not trying to do too much with it, recognizing an opportunity to just poke this one over the head of Sarai New. She's plates 2 more for Kentucky. Bozeman doing a good job in the circle, but unable to come away with that one.
Just protecting the plate with the 2 outs. That's her 5th double of the year. Henson grounds out. But Katie Reed with the 2-run double, she has 8 RBIs in this series, and it's a 4-run cushion for Kentucky as we go to the 7th. Kentucky 3 outs away from a sweep over Mississippi State, and one of the main reasons has been their solid defense.
Able to come away with a lot of key plays, keeping Mississippi State off the bases, being crafty in how they are maneuvering, communicating to make sure that they are taking the right angles and getting the right plays to be made. Hard defense on the corners, and then able to come away with just those routine plays. Sometimes those are the hardest to make. Bailey Vick with a big catch down the line, a tough dive and a grab, a risky move, but she comes away victorious. Kentucky so far errorless in this game and in this series.
Mississippi State, on the other hand, has committed 5 errors in this series, 1 in this game, 1 yesterday, and 3 on Friday that led to 7 unearned runs and an 8-0 loss. First pitch swinging, leading off, Falelua, who has flown out and popped up in this game. Kentucky trying to go for its 2nd straight SEC Series sweep. In convincing fashion, they went into South Carolina and just steamrolled the Gamecocks last week, winning all 3 games. Fell behind by 6 runs yesterday, came back to win it 9-8. And Humes not just looking for her second win of the weekend, but her second shutout win of the weekend.
That weekend against South Carolina, Kentucky outscored South Carolina 21-3. So showing that run production is one of the things that they have been focused on. And then in this series as well, putting up big numbers, the long ball, a big part of it. But in this game, we have not seen the offense that I was expecting. Both of these pitchers, Humes and Bozeman, doing a good job in the circle to keep the run production low and base runners off the base paths.
And Humes was the SEC Pitcher of the Week last week, and she's making a little headway, maybe certainly to be considered this week. She pitched 8 2/3 scoreless innings to earn a win and a save last weekend at South Carolina. Leilua sends one over the fence to ruin the shutout. Leilua with a liner that just cleared the fence cuts the lead to 4-1.
Leilua, such a huge addition to this Mississippi State program. A little haka at the end of it, showing that Samoan flair that has been added to the lineup for Mississippi State. But this is not a pitch that Humes needs to be upset about. Leilua goes upstairs to grab this one, a ball above her letters. That is just pure strength to go above the letters, grab this ball. I mean, it's a no-doubter. Vic has no way to defend it. The power of Leilua coming through in this one, and what that home run does is it now ties Leilua for the national lead in home runs, tying her with Mia Davidson and also Alyssa DiCarlo at Georgia.
So 14 home runs now for Leilua. And it breaks up the shutout. Leilua hit a 3-run shot yesterday, so her second home run of the weekend. And a pinch hitter coming up now for Mississippi State. It's Grace Dabbs, pinch hitting for Kat Moore, who struck out on both of her at-bats. And it also breaks up a huge string for Humes. She had thrown over 19 consecutive scoreless innings. 19.2 to be exact. The last run she gave up was 15 days ago at Murray State. Dabbs takes a strike, but as you mentioned, that wasn't a bad pitch, and Leilua is a heck of a hitter.
Well, that's a good miss for Humes to keep that rise ball up above the letters. Typically that will yield not only a swing and a miss, but maybe a pop-up. Leilua, though, taking that barrel, keeping it even with the ball, and just drives it out of the park. When you face a rise ball pitcher, your job is to make sure that you keep your barrel above the ball on approach, and that's what she did. Now that pitch, I don't know that I could ask Humes to throw it further out of the zone. I think that's a great spot, but Leilua obviously anticipating went after it.
Strike 3. Dabbs goes down looking for the first out of the 7th.
Humes just goes right at Dabbs. A good pitch on the outer half, nips the corner. Almost too much of the white, I think. And Dabbs, as a pinch hitter, has to take advantage of that, especially with 2 strikes.
4th strikeout for Humes as she got Dabbs looking, and here's Carter Spexarth. Hit a grand slam yesterday. That hits off of Humes, who drops her glove and then throws over, and she's hurting a little bit.
You know, Spexarth has so much power that'll yield a trip out to the circle by Bree Papato, the trainer for Kentucky. Oh, sharply hit ball, but it hits her on the wrist of her glove hand. A defensive move just to keep it out of her gut. And that's a tough one. Luckily, it did not hit her in the pitching hand. That could have been even more disastrous. But Humes right now, the concern is, does that take her out of her game? She's pitching masterfully right now. She did give up the home run, but it was a pitcher's pitch that Leilua was able to go up and get. So the concern is, does this shake the mental approach of Humes in the circle now, and does she start dishing up some pitches because her heart rate's elevated and she's not focusing on her spin?
Well, she's definitely staying in the game. Put that mask right back on. Trying to come away with her second win of the
Now
weekend.
batting for Mississippi State, number 32, Montana
But the
Davidson.
composure she was able to show, she knocked the ball down, got hurt in the play, but was able to still come away with the out by picking up the ball and getting it over to first base before reacting to the paint.
So 2 out, nobody on for Montana Davidson. Yeah, you're right. That's good composure because that had to hurt like heck, and then she picks it up and made the nice throw over to get the big out. Humes, her freshman year, she played at a Division II school in Arkansas, Harding University. Got 33 wins. They came to Kentucky. And she is from one of the more interesting hometowns, Bald Knob, Arkansas.
Very good.
Don't know what county that's in.
I am not going to live this down.
Ever.
My phone is blowing up with my lack of knowledge of geography.
The season is young.
I will study, I promise.
Fans on their feet. Autumn Humes, 1 strike away from her second win, and Kentucky 1 strike away from their second sweep in the SEC. Tap just foul. Mississippi State, this is their SEC opener. Their weekend series coming up is at home against Auburn. Marshall is here for a midweek game before Missouri comes in next weekend for Rachel Lawson's club. Off to a terrific start in the SEC. That is out of play. '70th pitch of the game coming up for Humes, who has been very efficient. Only the Leilua home run to lead off the 7th, spoiling her afternoon. Chance for Cheek. It is a foul ball. Premature cheering for the folks in the crowd, but it was picked up foul. Good at bat for Davidson. I mean, this is the 8th pitch of the at bat coming up.
But this is the kind of fight you need. This is what you need to see coming out of a series where you are 1 pitch away from finishing a sweep. You're going into Auburn next weekend. You've got to show some fight to be able to build momentum. No midweek game, so heading into an SEC opponent next.
Fights off another one. Very impressive, especially considering that the most pitches that Humes had thrown in an inning before this one was 13.
Montana Davidson does not want to go away quietly. She will continue to fight, continue to make her name known in the box, has a home run in this series, trying to get another one and extend this game.
Pitch number 9 in the at-bat is low. And you mentioned, remember how Humes would respond after getting hit in the wrist by Spexar's liner. She is having an abnormally long battle here with Davidson. Then she got her. The 5th strikeout of the game closes things out in style for Autumn Humes, who beats Mississippi State for the 2nd time this weekend. Kentucky gets the sweep, and they move to 6